I almost feel like one of the big reasons Mutalisk is popular on Daybreak in Zerg vs. Zerg is because there's so many overlords that are around the map, because there's so many different locations that you have to cover, that a lot of people will just go Mutalisk to kill off a guaranteed 6-7 overlords.
Yep.
I mean, you have to have that really good timing to pull everything back and reduce that number to 3 or 4, but even then, it's a really nice map for that aggressive Mutalisk play. Um, I also think that there is some potential to do some cheesy Nidus network stuff. That's also becoming popular on this map because it's so turtle heavy. People just wait till they see an army coming to build anything.
Yeah, that can happen. That can do indeed. It doesn't even have to just be in your opponent's main, for example. It can just be outside slightly to then rally across very, very quickly and really find, again, just breach the walls of your opponent's base quicker. So spawning down in our bottom left-hand corner as our red Zerg here on Daybreak for our final best of 5 of the night. He goes by the name of Startail Life.
And up in the top right-hand corner, a man who has won countless foreign events and also had incredible success in Korea. It is Leenock from Team FX Open.
Yep, FXO, and well, I think FXO and Startail now have both become huge powerhouses of the Korean scene in terms of the teams and the talent that they're actually breeding. FXO has been able to win all the team leagues pretty much in Korea, and then we have Startail, who had Life and Parting up until recently. Parting apparently now going to a Kesper team, but just the way in their practice, obviously their practice regiments and their practice partners and everything about how they manage to prepare for the games is so strong. And these two guys going up against one another once again is testament to that. They're very, very strong against one another.
Yeah, right now, one of those debates that a lot of people are having on this map is specifically what the best pool timing is. We've seen 8 to 10 pools be really popular, doing this weird early pool, but then don't build the queen, build the expand hatch, and then build the queen. So you can actually be way far ahead of your opponent in terms of the larva count, because he's canceled his hatch and you still get 2 quite early. Looks like we're seeing Life do the very safe, conservative pool hatch, and of course Leenock going hatch pool.
As you rightly pointed out, lava is a big issue in this matchup, and early lava maybe more than anything, depending on if you're actually going to end up contaminating your opponent if you're pushing out across the map. But that's a very, very niche specialist move. Maybe at the beginning is more important than any other time. If you can eke out just a few more drones than your opponent, or eke out a few more Zerglings than your opponent, if you're going to go for a big all-in play, then there really isn't actually much your opponent can do if he's not scouting out properly enough. And for now, Leenock just flying in, having a little bit of a look around, sees his opponent's expansion. Meanwhile, we have Life also scouting his opponent's expansion, so pretty standard with the kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things at this point in time is that with these early gas geysers, and of course the fact that Leenock sees this early gas geyser from Life, that's a declaration of Ling aggression definitely going to be coming out for Life. He really wants to do the huge attacking, barrel down the front door. There's really no other builds that end up doing that, so Leenock has an interesting defensive question. How does he want to stay alive in this spot? So, interestingly, Leenock is not yet getting a gas. I mean, he is well aware that there's about to be some speedlings breathing down his neck, but he's pretty just calmly going for extra queens.
Yeah, and Zerglings heading across the map here for Live, having a little bit of a look around. The 2 initial Zerglings are really there just to have a little bit of a look around. He does start speed now to kick things off, but he's just going to poke forwards and dance around for a little bit, having a little look around. I'm wondering how we're going to see the mid-game evolve out of these 2 players. You were mentioning before that the Spire can be a very popular choice on this map, and you're correct, because of how many Overlords do position themselves out on the map. But at the same time, Roach Hydralisk Infestor, still very popular as well. Obviously, the Hydralisks after the Infestors. I've actually seen Stefano do a lot of Roach Hydra exclusive with no Infestors, which is sort of weird to me, but it does work out if you can hit the timings.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, this really fast Roach play or this really fast layer play from Life is sort of like it's like the Speedling on steroids opening. You know, like you get something where you go for speedlings, and this allows your opponent to, or forces your opponent to be defensive so you can get a third base up. Well, Life, doing this, I mean, certainly he can go for a Spire. Could be that as well. His economy needs to line up really nice for him to pull it off. But you can go for Roach in that spot, and again, force your opponent to be defensive because you have speed Roaches when he doesn't, and you can also secure your third and punish his third in the same way, so... Leenock is going for double Evo Chamber. Oh my god, I hope to god that he's going to be going +1/+1 links.
I think he might be doing, and that is really cool. You're right. If he does go for that, the +1/+1 links into the mid game are so strong, especially if you're going up against an opponent that is not actually going for them. But at the same time, Life is indeed going for... Oh, well, we've had a few deviations already. Okay, so Life is now going for the Spire, the thing that we mentioned at the very beginning, the thing that can be actually super strong because of Overlord placements and because of just the architecture of exploiting your opponent's mobility. Now, meanwhile, back over at Leenock's base, he's going range as well as Carapace, so he's committing more to a Roach mid-game. Well, yeah, after both players forego the Baneley Nest effect, kick things off at the beginning, a gentlemanly agreement. But Leenock just powers out a super strong mid-game, even into a super strong late game with the range upgrades, obviously because that helps out so much. Even if you have like the Hive Morphin with +3 eventually, and you stick on Roach, Hydra, Infestor for a long time, Infested Terrans gain so much from that as well.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled to see this big divergence already, because I think Zerg vs. Zerg is one of these matchups where it's actually fairly uncommon to see both players doing the exact same thing. Every now and again you get that, but even if both players are going for that Roach Hydra or Roach Infestor mixture, there's just so many different ways that you can do it. There's the expansion now going down for Leenock. It's one of those really boldly timed expansions that, you know, you have to have just the right amount of Queens/Hydras at the right time to be able to hold it off. However, to note, if you look at the mini-map, Leenock actually only has 2 Overlords in the middle of the map. That's incredibly responsible of him to get his buddies home.
Yeah, it is, and Leenock here is reacting properly, very nicely. And meanwhile, we have the 9 Mutalisks on the way, but he's committing to range as well behind it, so he's not really having that full committal to Mutalisks. He's just using this to force reactions out of his opponent and try and force that map control, which it does do. He's killing off all of the Overlords. There is one Overseer in his main, but for now that's going to be gone. And also another big aspect of Mutalisk plays, trying to deny the third. He's trying to go for it, but he has to be very wary of these Queens on the way.
Yeah, I mean, the Queens are coming, but I actually think that he will get it. I mean, he's literally just sitting there. I mean, there's a lot of transfuse. That's going to be the big key for Leenock's ability to save this expansion. Can he kill it before it finishes? Oh! If it had finished, he would have been able to just go transfuse, no problem. Back to max health. He was even banking on that happening, but nope. Not going to happen.
Oh wow, I can't believe he didn't transfuse. And now Leenock is actually transitioning onto the Hydralisk Den to complement his Roach Infestor mix. Meanwhile, just a few Zerglings running around for life. And they're going to try and go for... They could try and go for the denial again, actually. The Roaches were a little bit out of place. But he's not going to. Just wanted to poke forwards. And behind all this, Life has had his third up for a little while here. One Mutalist decides to leave an Overlord there, though.
And there we see, of course, the Mutalisk Harass picking off what is the most important resource to be in the lead-in at the time, the Gas Geyser, even though it looks like sort of a benign target. Picking that off just really surges you ahead. I mean, you think about it, it takes 100, you get 116 gas a minute out of one Geyser. So if you kill it off, that's basically the equivalent of killing off an Infestor.
Yeah, pretty much. As for now, we still have just a few more Roaches in the middle of the map dancing around. For Leenock, he gets supply blocked slightly after that Overlord that we mentioned earlier dies off behind his third. And Leenock here is just... he's going to have a great composition of Roach Infested Hydralisk, but can it contend with how much of a slight lead we had in terms of the gas income from Life to begin with? You have to account for the fact, though, that he did pump a lot which will become redundant eventually.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, Mutalisks are one of the weirdest transition units in the game because you literally just, like, sneak out a few and then just completely transition back into Roach.
Yeah.
Infestor, and we do see in the Infestor count that even though Leenock is slightly ahead at 3-0, there are 7 Infestors being produced for life, and mainly Hydralisks right now for Leenock. This is very indicative of a timing push from Leenock. It looks like you might want to do something right when that +2 upgrade, or with that 2-2 upgrade that he has done.
It might work out quite nicely indeed. For now, Life back home, he's got his Hydralisk down on the way. The Mutalist's actually going to fly in to try and kill off this Queen so he can save his Overseer, I would assume. But those Hydralisks might have something to say about that in a second. And he's actually sending some Lings down to the bottom right-hand corner here to go for that counter-attack if his opponent wants to push out across. And this is perfect here from Life to try and stall out because he needs to stall out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, stalling is really the best way to deal with these sorts of Roach timing, or excuse me, these Roach Hydra timing pushes. They can be super powerful, but all you have to do in Life's shoes is get up some Hydralisks of your own. We see 12 on the way. He really only needs another 25 seconds, but he has not started the Groove Spines upgrade, which will definitely ruin his ability to defend this attack.
That's such
God, look at Leenock getting maxed so fast.
Yeah, he's actually plowing ahead right now, and the Mutalist still going in once again, trying to limit the Queens by killing them off, and as such, limiting how much lava his opponent can have, but he's now setting himself up the potential concave at the bottom of this ramp to try and deal with Leenock's aggression, but he's still quite far down in terms of supply, and none of that is in army supply. Leenock's army is huge, relatively, in comparison to the start Life's.
I mean, it's actually amazing the way that Leenock's been able to stay so conservative all game long, get this big of an army. These fungals need to be amazing. Oh no! The anti-fungal, every single one of those infestors gets nagged up. Oh my gosh, Leenock with a huge, huge blow right there at Life's infestor force, and it's going to be no range Hydra versus range Hydra. I mean, Life's just going to have to rely on this from behind macro. In the main base, we see the Mutalist did do some damage, and Life has managed to barely stabilize. And now Leenock's on the retreat.
That was not too bad. Both of them just traded Infestors for Infestors there. Right now they're just repopulating with almost exactly the same units at any given point in time. This is a very, very close ZVZ in relation to how the actual game has played out, considering that Startail Life had a massive swing and deviation in comparison to what we were seeing from Leenock early on. So everything kind of evened up here, but Life has so many minerals backed up in comparison to Leenock.
This is really an amazing, amazing series of defenses from Life. If he can hold on against this one final push, then he will have essentially secured the victory. He will be up on that 4th base, and with this rally, oh my god, Life, you needed every second that he delayed his opponent. I mean, if he had done anything different, this attack would have been coming with a lot more power, a lot earlier, but man, what crisp play from Life.
It shows what retaining just a small pack of Lings can do in the mid-game, because most people will say, right, Ling phase is over, time for Roaches and Hydralisks, Lings go in, die after killing like 1 or 2 drones, but Life didn't do that. Life kept those Lings for a long, long time, and then it used them to the best of his ability later on to buy him that time. It was really, really well done, but this game's not over just yet.
Yeah, I mean, per usual, we're seeing Leenock do his trademark Roach counterattacks, and he does have Burrow, whereas Life doesn't. I mean, this is the exact way that Leenock has managed to claw his way into so many lost games, using that Burrow tech. Awesome. He'll be able to unburrow, pick off some Hydras. He's already beginning another engagement where he is walking into the worst concave of all time. He is completely surrounded.
Oh, that's almost... No, dear me, Leenock's getting obliterated right now. Life taking such a crisp lead here in terms of supply. He could easily start marching across, killing off these reinforcements that Leenock has pushed forward to the front, and at the same time Leenock's force in the back, between the 3rd and Natural, getting picked off, burrowing, having to be forced to burrow by the units rallying out from Life. Life is just pushing back all of these reinforcements, and he's 50 supply up right now. Really well played by him.
I mean, this is just one of those classic examples of the upgrades not being able to be used. GG, Leenock taps out in game 1. That means Life is up 1-0. And you know,